Seed starting is one of those things that you could half-ass or you could become an absolute pro at. So I'm gonna give you 5 different products that can really level up your seed starting game. So here's the thing. If you're just starting out with seed starting and just gardening in general, I wouldn't spend much money. I would go and check out my video on free items you can use around the house to help you with gardening and seed starting. This video is for those of you that want to become absolute experts and, like I said, level up your seed starting game. I'm gonna hazard a guess that at least 3 or 4 of these you guys have never heard of before. And the reason for that is because they're just not common practice. However, they can make a big difference in your seed starting. So number 1 is going to be vermiculite. And the reason why it's number 1 is because a lot of you have heard of this. If you've been on this channel for any length of time, Geek Crew knows I am in love with vermiculite for seed starting. So if you don't know what vermiculite is, it is a mineral. So technically it is completely organic, but it is inorganic in the sense that it is a mineral. So way back when, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, some of the 90s, vermiculite did have asbestos in it. It was contaminated. It was out of one very specific mine. Don't worry about that anymore. That is not the case. All of the vermiculite you have access to is most definitely tested by either the FDA or Agri-Foods Canada, so you will be safe. So vermiculite has a few different uses when it comes to seed starting. Number 1 is actually just sprinkling it on the surface of your soil. This allows for proper airflow. You ever get that moldy junk on top? Well, that is because you end up with almost like a crust, and this crust sometimes can be formed by algae or other factors, but regardless, it doesn't allow for proper airflow throughout the entire system. So when you put vermiculite on top, it kind of breaks that up in a way and makes it much less likely to end up with any sort of mold. And literally you just sprinkle it on top, and I use this for any and all seeds. Now the second application to this is when I'm dealing with very tiny seeds. We're talking things like petunias, microscopic mini seeds. These seeds don't do great with potting soil because sometimes they can just drop way too low into the seed cell and not germinate at all, or if it does germinate, it can't get to light soon enough to be able to propel itself into the future. So unfortunately, those guys, I stay away from potting soil and I only use the vermiculite. The other thing is that when you use vermiculite on heat mats, the actual heat distribution is very even and you don't end up with uneven heating, which you can kind of sometimes see depending on the density of the potting soil that you're using. Now vermiculite you can mix with potting soil to make for a medium that has more airflow, but I don't use that in seed starting at all. I either use it on its own for small seeds or I use it as a top dressing on potting soil. To be honest, I never really use it mixed in with potting soil. However, it is you could use it technically, it's just not my thing. The next one is going to be the correct tray. Choosing the correct tray is sometimes the make it or break it in the germination rates you get for your seeds. If you have smaller seeds or seeds that are more sensitive to excessive levels of moisture, you may choose to get a cell that's a little bit smaller, similar to this one I have right here, where the cells are very itsy bitsy. And the reason for that is because between heat mats and grow lights, the actual moisture in each cell is very easily evaporated and therefore doesn't hang around long enough to actually cause any mold issues. If you are known for having seeds that get a lot of dampening off, meaning they just kind of flop over as soon as they get out of the ground, or they simply just don't germinate at all, using a smaller seed cell can actually be a major hack for you because, like I said, it increases the rates of evaporation from the actual soil itself, and so therefore you're less likely to have that become an issue. The other thing you could try is adding the vermiculite with the small cell, and then you're really off to the races if you are known for overwatering or, like I said, having dampening off issues. Now, if you're going for perennials or something that you want a very large root system on, say like a tomato, something you may choose to get is a root trainer. So this isn't necessarily where you start the seeds in all cases. It is a case where you would bump up into this space. And simply all it is it's a longer sized seed cell. Rather than width-wise, it goes down lower. And this results in a root system that isn't moving outwards, it's moving downwards. And this can help in the case of drought or just even accessing the nutrients that is lower in that soil. If you don't want to spend the money on root training, you can actually use paper towel. And it's super easy to do. You can use actually newspaper as well, burlap, literally any sort of fabric that folds is the key. That's literally all. So, and you don't have to make them big. I've seen giant ones. You don't have to make them super large. So all you need to do is actually pour your soil onto the paper towel or the fabric in question. You should use not dry, not bone dry like what I'm using, preferably, because I'm just making more work for myself personally. Now the purpose here is we're gonna make long seed cells and then we can therefore get a longer root system. I could technically make this the bottom and go this direction and make it super long, or I could go obviously this direction and make it whatever size. This is the bottom, and you rolled in this direction, you're gonna get more of a snail. And then again, you would just tape it right here. You could snip this back. So obviously this is too large. So you could snip kind of the portion that's not showing soil. And then all you literally do is you sow your seeds in these little folds here. And then you can place them usually in a nursery pot just to keep them upright under some light, and they will grow and they will actually send the roots down lower. So this is a great root trainer alternative because root trainers themselves can actually be very expensive. And if it's something that you're not sure you're gonna need every single year, or you're not doing this as like a market garden, this is a really cheap, great option. So snail roll is a root trainer hack. If you're a forgetful person, or you simply just don't have enough time to check on the seedlings every single day, you may choose to go for a larger cell when it comes to starting seeds, because while this one holds less water, the larger ones hold more water, which means the plant has access to water for a longer period of time. And if you've watched any of the 17 essential nutrient videos, you already know it's incredibly important that seedlings, plants, have a continual source of water and they're not allowed to dry out or wilt whatsoever, because it can cause a lot of issues down the road. Okay, the next one is a little bit of a bonus, and that's because I'm going to do a whole video dedicated to lighting. But this right here is a timer, and a timer is a make it or break it for success, because turns out plants don't like sun for 24 hours. They actually don't even like it for 8. They need a very specific range between 10 and usually 16 hours depending on the plant, the intensity of the light, etc. and so forth. Like I said, I'm doing a video on that. You can go check that out. It's going to go into much more depth when it comes to the concept of lighting and how to do it properly. But regardless, this can also help with not just lighting, but the fans themselves. If you're running fans on your seedlings, you may notice at nighttime, wherever you are in the world, the wind tends to die down at night. And if you want to mimic Mother Nature in the best ways possible, you want to make sure that your fan is also on a timer. The only thing that I would not encourage putting on a timer would be the actual heat mats themselves, because that needs to be a continual source of heat just for ambient reasons. And so therefore that one kind of gets shoved out to the side. But lighting and air movement are two that should go into a timer. The next one is going to be nematodes. If you start a lot of plants, you've seen fungus gnats before, and you know how irritating fungus gnats can be, and how sometimes, depending on the conditions, they can actually cause a lot of issues. And this comes in all potting soils. It's completely normal for it to come in a potting soil, because it's a sign your potting soil is alive. It's a good thing. However, it's a pain in the butt. So you can use nematodes to actually gobble up all of the fungus gnat eggs or other eggs that may be present in your potting soil to help take a load off when it comes to actually seed starting. Okay, so if you choose to go with the nematodes or the pot poppers, whichever one it is, mosquito dunks is another one you could try. That one's a Bacillus thuringiensis. It's a bacteria that actually kind of takes things out. Nematodes are microscopic worms that actually go in and eat the physical eggs that are in the soil. And they don't just take out fungus gnats, but take out other stuff as well. Now, if you're using this, they don't work well in the actual cells. So once it's in here, it's subpar. I don't find it's like the greatest way to utilize the nematodes. So what I do is actually right now, because I'm not gonna start seeds here still for a little while yet, I will make sure my bag of potting soil is semi-moist, and I will just dump my nematodes into that potting soil bag itself, let them work their magic for a period of time, and then once it's time to actually start the seeds, fingers crossed, I've never had issues to date. The nematodes have done their job over the last month and a half, and I'm in a better place when it comes to bugs. So before we get to our last one, I want to talk to you about pH of your water. Depending on where you are in the world, after you've added your fertilizer, the pH of your water fertilizer mixture may be acidic or alkaline. And if it's out of whack, continually using that on a small volume of potting soil can over time change the pH to something that's less than desirable for the plant. And if you've been on this channel long enough, you know that the roots and the pH the roots are sitting in is a huge determining factor into how much and what nutrients is uptaken. So we need to make sure that is in check. This is an expert tip and it's not something you absolutely need to do, but I do find it makes a big difference, particularly when it comes to the color of flowers and just the performance of the plant overall. And that is being able to adjust the soil pH. So to do this, you are going to need a whole kit. So you're going to need the root farm kit, pH up, pH down, and then the actual testing kit itself. If you're unsure whether or not your water is in an okay situation, just get the pH testing kit, give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe it's fine. It's hard to tell. But regardless, this is a pro tip. It's not an absolute necessary tip, but if you want to level up your game, it's definitely something you should consider. The last item, it's really not an item, is a calendar and a timer. And by timer, I mean like a timer on your phone. So what I like to do is make sure that you have everything entered in beforehand in regards to what seeds have to be started when, all the way to when actually things need to be watered. Because if you're busy and you have a life of any sort, taking care of your plants is sometimes on the bottom of the list. And so to avoid plants dying, you want to make sure you have reminders on your phone to go check them, water them, do all that fun stuff. It'll save you a ton of money. And if you're unsure as to what seeds to start when, you want to stay tuned to all my videos I do every single month about what seeds to start when. This one is February. And the fun part is that this video is for anyone all over the world. You don't have to be in Canada because they make it very generic for literally everybody to give a shot. So check that out. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later.